Well, brother, sister, look at me.
Brother, sister, look at me.
Oh, look what your brother grew up to be.
Look what your brother grew up to be.
Hi, this is Dave Maturana from Two Guys on Beer, and this is the companion video to the article I wrote in Philly Beer Scene magazine about solo brewing and brewing with nothing but the power of the sun. So we want to take a second to show you exactly how this thing works. First, I'd like you to meet Joe Bear. He's the owner of Princeton Homebrew in Trenton, New Jersey, and he's a bit of a mad scientist, if you will. He came up with the idea of using Fresnel lenses to focus the power of the sun to do things like cook the barley and cook the hops, even, which lends an incredibly crazy flavor, and then use that same power of the sun to boil the water in our brew kettle. So how do we get to beer from the sun? Well, therein lies a bit of science.
This is a graphic that helps you understand the elevation, azimuth, angle, and height. This is real important because the azimuth right here that spins around, that's the degrees from true north that you're going to find the sun at. The height is the elevation that you're going to have to, everything has to line up perfectly with the sun, the Fresnel lens, and the target, or else it's going to be weaker. It's not going to be as strong as can be. So you use this and you combine that with like a Google solar calendar. And there's our building, and that's where we're right out in front. That's the roof up on top. You see, a good thing about any of these solar things is you can't have many trees around, and if you do have trees around, they have to be deciduous, because in the wintertime, if the leaves fall off, you'll get a lot of sun too. So you look at this map here, and down at the bottom, they have these little things that you can check here that'll tell you which direction the sun rises in, which direction the sun sets in, and what's the current elevation. So if you're looking at this right now, and there we are right in front, the sun rises this way. This way right here is true north, like that. The sun right now is almost true south. And if you look at the angle here, it's 156, 180 is true south, 0 would be true north. So
After giving us a little bit of a lesson on the angles needed to brew beer, Joe brought us up to his roof to show us a little bit more.
Basically black hose on a roof. It works really well though. You get a high enough temperature that you can mash in just from this alone. Comes down, anything that's black absorbs. So it absorbs. Basically, if you go to a fireman's website, you can calculate the amount of water that you'll need for the mashing in from the diameter of the hose.
As we mentioned in the article, Joe also uses this system to help power his radiant flooring in his house to provide heat. But in order to actually get this water up to our boiling temperature, in order to boil the wort, we need to use the Fresnel lenses, and I'll let Joe explain a little bit more about how they work.
And this side here has all of these little indentations in the acrylic, which are like you can see they're all around the whole thing. It starts in the center and goes out. And the old Fresnel lenses in lighthouses, if you've ever seen lighthouses, they're all a whole bunch of circular things. And when the lighthouse was around, it was a real big discovery with the lens in the lighthouse, because it went from 1/8 of a mile to 8 miles with these special lenses. But they weigh tons because they're thick glass, and there's a huge technological improvement. They can do that. They can take that technology from the lighthouse and put it on acrylic and make the lens like a light funnel into one point. That's what we're doing out there. So it collects light.
So the lenses by themselves collect light and focus it. But we needed to actually get that into some sort of contraption, and Joe built this. It's a very simple stand with a frame around the Fresnel lens that is on casters, and the lens itself tilts up and down. So we're able to rotate the casters, rotate the stand on the casters, and tilt the lens up and down to match those angles that we saw on the Google Map system through NOAA. And then we're able to take the grain, or whatever we're cooking, the brew kettle, and we're able to put it under the focal length of the sun. The kettle itself is black. It's black metal. Black paint would have burned right off, so it's a black metal container. And that's put inside of an old refrigeration unit. And all that does is it really helps hold in the heat that we generate, so the heat is not escaping too quickly. Now, check this out. The power of the sun at that focal point is so hot, I'm going to slow it down for you. As the focused sun coming through the lens passes over the rubber on that door of the casing, it instantly burns it and scars it. That temperature is upwards of 800 degrees and is actually capable of instantly burning just about anything it touches, including this sped up illustration of Joe creating a peace sign using nothing but some focused light through the Fresnel lens. But enough about that. How about that beer? So here you can actually see the grain underneath the focal point of one of the Fresnel lenses, and as soon as that light hits the grain, it instantly starts toasting it. It gives off this fantastic smell. We did the same thing with the hops, and that is one of the most unique smells that I've ever smelled, and you can just see it continuing to roasting. The temperature inside of the container was reaching upwards of 700 to 800 degrees just through a single focused beam of light, and that was plenty of power to get our kettle brewing up around our 212 degrees required and more. Afterwards, we took the toasted grain and we ground it and put it into a cheesecloth-like substance, and then we steeped it inside of the kettle. We let the grain steep inside of the boiling kettle for 1 hour, after which it was time to take it out of the brewing vessel, cool the wort, and put it into our fermentation tank. Once the kettle was pulled out of the cabinet, we needed to put it up high because we were going to siphon the wort down through our cooling system. So it was put up on Joe's pickup truck, and it was sent down through a copper tube that was wrapped in a garden hose, and cold water was running over the copper tube as the wort ran through the copper tube and down into our fermentation tank. After that, we took a little bit of the cooled wort and we did some measurements on the gravity. And then Joe was kind enough to actually take some of the wort and pour it into glasses for us to taste. You could definitely taste the toastiness of both the hops and the malts. But it was also very sweet and sugary, and that is because there was no yeast that has yet attacked the sugar of the grain, and it is not yet alcohol. So after a little bit of time in the fermentation tank, the sweetness will wear off and we'll be left with an amazing toasty flavor. So, with a little bit of ingenuity and human inventiveness, we were able to create our wort, which is now fermenting, and I can't wait to taste it. So, thanks for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll talk to you soon.
I'm a papa, look at me.